Today I'm being sponsored by Sega to create a school for $0 in Two Point Campus. You know, you can play this game starting with money in school buildings, but I just thought I'd spice things up by starting out as a solo teacher with nothing. Just this one building to see if I could make enough tuition money off the kids in order to build an actual school. To make it even better, the only course I can teach them is called General Knowledge. Before I go any further, if you decide you want to check out the game, I'd appreciate it if you use my link below in the description. You wouldn't want to disappoint me, would you? Meet our protagonist, Professor Bodie McBoatface, founder of our school. He had excellent hygiene and moved faster than most. I decided the goal of this playthrough would just be to treat this like a business and make Professor McBoatface rich. Time was of the essence. Mood was already dropping, and then the students emerged from the subway nearby and filed into the school building in the month of August before classes began. By September, Professor McBoatface had stepped suspiciously out of the parking lot and decided to enter the classroom to commence the studies. After the initial lecture, I spent the first round of tuition money on sprucing up the classroom with potted plants to make the boring lecture hall more attractive. I gave the students an assignment to complete in the library, but there was no library. And they couldn't bother me during office hours to complain, because there was no office. So I just built a bathroom with only one stall so that I could hog it and take an egregious dump during the months between my pedagogical duties. And then I built a dormitory for some of them to sleep while I distracted the rest of them with my second lesson. Everyone was failing the course. So finally, by the end of November, I at long last had enough money to finance an entire library. I also hid the bathroom behind the library so that not only did students have to push past one another to complete their assignment, but if they wanted to see their professor, they'd have to endure a great big dump. In such a short amount of time, the school was already humming along prosperously. I actually had enough cash flow to hire an assistant to help out. His name was Cooper Trout, a slow, gross library manager. I also bought a water cooler and a snack machine, since no one had had anything to eat or drink in over 4 months, which was eroding at student morale. Even the mayor visited the school. And despite the fact that she started crying after seeing the state of our campus, they must have been tears of joy because she decided to award us a $10,000 grant to help expand our building. I used the money to hire a thirsty janitor to clean the place up and bought hand sanitizing dispensers, alleviating the overwhelming stench of BO in the building. Then it was an arcade machine to entertain everyone. It's not like we didn't have growing pains though. There was Trevor Juggle, a total basket case, and he smelled. Something had to be done about him. But what? I couldn't simply allow him to moonwalk intimidatingly into this girl. Not on my watch. No having tantrums in the hallway. And then he stopped paying for school, so I expelled him. You can't drop out if we expel you. Students were still bored. I expanded more, adding a student lounge complete with a couch, foosball, games, fruit, boom boxes. The students loved it. It distracted them from the fact that they were receiving mediocre tutelage from a scammy man in robes walking around a parking lot. But even our protagonist, Bodie McBoatface, was growing tired, 10 months into his vocation. So I built him a staff lounge. Finally, by May, students were getting A's and A+. The kids were happy and had pieces of paper that said they had learned something and deserved to be paid more than other people out in the real world. Yes, that first year had been a success, but it was time to expand my school. They say every good entrepreneur's first employee is a clone of himself, someone who had the same chutzpah. And so it was that I hired Peggy Strong and Gilbert Damp, both of whom were actual certified educators, to legitimize my operation. The graduates simply disappeared at the bus stop. So began the second year of school. We doubled our lecture halls and admitted too many students, shrinking the student lounge and packing them into a hot classroom. Now this was really getting to be a lot of money, so we built out to the building footprint and constructed a dorm that, well, it wasn't really a dorm, but more of a barracks. Somehow, people still thought it looked good because of all the potted plants. And even during a routine health inspection, our janitor, Laura Buzzkill, stuck her entire head into the toilet bowl to demonstrate our commitment to sanitation. The school expanded. 2 lecture halls became 4. We added private tutoring zones and a therapy office for students who were angry and upset. We expanded the library, and then we made a weird brain expansion room where we sent faculty members for professional development. Another year of satisfied grads. In a flourish of celebration, I erected a duck in our main courtyard. Like the duck, our students would go out in the real world and quack about everything they were learning. Quack, quack, quack out with knowledge. That was our alma mater. We had so much school spirit that we threw a party and set sky-high expectations by hanging up pictures of the same fancy man all over the walls. I decided to expand the campus, but we didn't have any more money, so I couldn't expand the campus. So I had to go get some money to expand the campus. What I'm trying to say is that it grew. But see, there was this looming problem on the horizon. There's no death in this game, and faculty members demand a 1% raise per year, which, if you do the math, ultimately would lead to an exponential growth of infinite salaries. We'd have to keep up by making more money, or just fire everyone. I wasn't ready for that, so we decided to teach archaeology, an extremely lucrative course to teach since your students dig up ancient artifacts that can be sold. So we saw off our graduates and commenced with year 6, in which we established a dig site, literally right in front of the school, and a research room. Everything was getting better. We even upgraded the lecterns somehow by welding the wood. Yet another year passed. I decided to open up a few clubs on campus to deceive my students into completing my aims. The speedwalking club, to get more people out of the way. The power napping club, to free up dorm space. The nature club, to take care of the campus grounds without paying the students. This is when I made one of the most bizarre discoveries. The Orb Club. That's right, you heard me. The Orb Club. Like a sphere. I don't know why anyone in his right mind would join the Orb Club, but it had hundreds of applicants before long. It requires of its members regular payments ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars for seemingly no reason. And it just makes people unhappy. But since people were loving it, I invested tens of thousands into progressively larger, more impressive and obtrusive orbs to get everyone's money. I think it's a cult, but it's my cult. Now I had more money than I knew what to do with. Hundreds of thousands. I bought the last available campus land. After all, archaeology was a 3-year course that required more and more specialized classrooms. But it was worth it because the kids were paying more than twice as much as the general knowledge students. How had an educational scam in one man's garage become an archaeological university? The answer is ambition. We purchased expensive gemstones, pottery, dinosaur fossils, and obnoxious trophies, just because there was now too much money. Around this time, I trained Laura Buzzkill, the janitor, to get better at upgrading machines. And then I upgraded the machine that trained her to get better at upgrading machines. And then I trained her again with the upgraded machine to make her get even better at upgrading machines. You don't know how long it took me to say all that. Year 8 was incredibly lucrative. We were showered with accolades. And to celebrate, I got an arcade machine of Crazy Taxi, because Sega published this game, which was honestly kind of a cool Easter egg. It was satisfying to pass the $1 million mark, but it honestly brought me back to the kind of existential listlessness, ennui, and lack of real-world experience I had in college. It was cathartic to watch this archaeology student seek therapy, eat a bag of cheese snacks, and drink 2 whole glasses of water with an explosively full bladder. But that was the exception rather than the rule. Kids were happy, almost everyone had an A. Starting with nothing, Bodie McBoatface, founder and headmaster, now had over $1 million, a beautiful campus housing priceless artifacts and making people happy, and a nice little office where he personally counseled and tutored the youth. My plan was almost finished. Except now for the final act, in which I sold the building, fired all of the faculty, and expelled the students. I don't know, I just wanted to do that. I don't really know what to do at the school once it's done, so I just replaced it all with ducks. I think I'm ready to make a wizard school next. Anyway, huge thanks once again to Sega for sponsoring this video. If you want to try out 2 Point Campus, you can check it out on my link below. And thanks as always to my patrons, who have explosively full bladders and yet somehow still continue drinking water. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time, my friends.